My dreams are pretty bizarre because I tend to dream about things that are rather mundane. A lot of the people who tend to talk about their dreams online talk about these very strange, abstract experiences that feel several degrees removed from reality. The dreams that I always remember and that make the biggest impact on me tend to be the ones that could manifest themselves in reality somehow. I do have sometimes more fantastical elements in those dreams, but in most cases they're things that I could see happening. Like, for example, one dream that I had quite some time ago that I still remember was when I had been out of school for, I believe, well into a year at that point, and I just randomly had this dream about being at this school theme park. It was a school mixed with water fountains and roller coasters and these other things, I believe, but I was there with these people who I would frequently see and sometimes speak to in school. So I don't remember at this point what the experiences I had in that dream were. I believe several of them were negative, like I think there was some bullying involved or something like that. There were a couple negative things that had happened, even though it was wrapped up in more of this fantastical experience, and I mean it wasn't even that fantastical. I remember a lot of the imagery technically being possible. I nonetheless had experiences that could have been real in some sense. So, I remember reading that when it comes to dreams, the ones that you remember are the ones that your brain chooses to remember. So you have a number of dreams each night, and your brain chooses the one that it finds to be the most important. When it's trying to tell you something, when there's something of note that it needs to emphasize for your survival or what have you, it's going to emphasize that dream. They can be signs of internal distress or other things like that. I don't remember my dreams very often. It's actually pretty rare, but when I do, in the last couple years, I've found that they've always been some kind of nightmare, and usually those nightmares are surrounding social circumstances. When I was making videos in summer-ish, or maybe before summer perhaps, I would get really frequent dreams about comments that I would get. Before I would go to sleep, it would be really difficult for me to get to bed because I would be thinking about what people were going to comment right before I posted a video, but what I did was I made sure to post it at night when I was at the point of exhaustion, so I wouldn't have to spend a few hours waiting and sitting around to feel anxious about what the comments were going to. And I took a bunch of my anxiety meds and I just went to sleep really quickly. So that's why I kept posting them at nighttime at the time. It wasn't so much because I had just recorded them. I would strategically choose to record them at that time. But by and large it was because I wanted to have them out right when I was going to bed, and that way I wouldn't nervously delete them. When I woke up, I would sometimes get a panic attack because I would have a dream about something someone said about me, or how someone reacted to the video, or what my image would appear to be at that point, and the anxiety would be so intense that I would get a panic attack. Nowadays, I don't so much get dreams like that as to what people who I don't really know say, how they react to it. I don't really care about what anonymous people online say anymore. It doesn't bother me so much. I just kind of see them as disconnected individuals. Every now and again, if someone says something, it will start to bother me a little bit, but usually that feeling goes away pretty fast. I'm pretty indifferent to praise and criticism from people who I don't know. It doesn't really do anything for me. Unless it's like a long essay of someone saying that my videos helped them somehow, but even then, like, it doesn't do nearly as much for me as it used to, or I feel kind of numbed out to just about all the comments I receive from people who I don't directly know. And at the same time, I really enjoy receiving them because I just like seeing that people interacted with the video. It's hard for me to say because I would say that I feel a little bit more bad uh, cumulatively in comparison to not receiving, in comparison to receiving comments. But at the same time, I don't necessarily feel anything super positive either, or just positive. So it's strange. It's like there's a slight, like 0.5% change in my mood when I don't leave comments. But before, it was an intense cycle where positive comments didn't really affect me that much, but the negative ones affected me a lot. Fast forward to now, I still have dreams like that are about the reaction, but it's mostly about what friends or former friends are saying about me. Just now, last night, I just woke up. I had a dream about a friend-ish. I don't really know what to call him. I talk to the guy now, but I don't think he would call me a friend. No thank you. Just shit-talking my videos in this strange YouTube, like, pay-to-watch YouTube video. It was interesting. It said you had to pay $2 to watch it in the dream, but all I did was I hovered over the icon and then I watched the entire video that way. The dream is a little bit blurry in my mind now, but I remember getting some kind of strange way to get around the fact that I had to watch it manually with paying money. And when I did, there was just him shit-talking me in there. And I felt pretty bad when I woke up. And I don't know what it is I think there's something I have where if I get close enough to somebody, I want to trust them. And so because I want to trust them, it's like criticism from them hurts more. Like, I trust this person enough that I don't expect them to betray me or to be unkind. And I kind of expect them to see my feelings in the same light that I see theirs. And so I end up over expecting these things of people to be nice and to not say mean things. And when they do, I have a bigger reaction to it because there's someone who I've allowed myself to care for, to feel things towards, or to be closer to. And over time, I've realized that mindset is really dangerous, and so I've tried to cut off a lot of my emotions as they pertain to people who I'm quote-unquote close with, because I don't want them to criticize me or to say something like that, and for it to make me upset. Just yesterday, there was somebody told me that bothered me quite a bit, and instead of getting mad or complaining about it, I sent him a complaint, but then I deleted it right after. I realized that what I had to do was to just not feel anything about it. If you cut your emotions off from your friends enough, then if they say something like that, it can't hurt you. It's kind of like what I've done with receiving comments, is that I've allowed myself to not have emotions or to suppress them to the extent of anything the comments say isn't going to bother me. So I've kind of had to learn that in friendships you have to do that too, because there's inevitably going to be some kind of criticism or some kind of really mean thing that someone says that's just false or feels like it's not trying to listen or be sensitive towards you and where you come from. So instead of explaining to someone why you feel sensitive towards that, why you have these personal issues or these triggers or whatever you want to call them, it's easier just to not care, just to make yourself radically not care about anyone who you talk to. And so I'm finding that these dreams that I've been having, and this dream I had last night isn't the only example, I've had other dreams in recent memory doing the same thing, that something I've learned from getting these dreams is to cut myself off even more. It's to allow 7 different degrees of distance between me and the people who I speak to. I don't know if that's the lesson that these dreams want me to take from them, but so far it's been the one that's been the most practically applicable. Like, you watch a show like Evangelion, and they tell you, oh, don't do this because it's bad for your health or something. I don't quite understand that worldview, that cutting yourself off from others is like this big dangerous thing you shouldn't do because it's terrible, and the robots in the show are terrible, and Gendo, and I don't get that. I don't quite understand. Like, to me, when I watched Evangelion, Gendo was always the most sympathetic character. He was the one who I always thought was right. Like, not everything he did in the show was right, but he was always the one who made the most sense to me. Whereas I looked at like Shinji and Asuka, and I just look at these really bratty, horrible people. Like, if I had the chance, like, there were no laws, no barriers in the world, I would, like, beat the shit out of both of those characters. Because they show so much weakness in that show that it's just unbearable to watch. I don't have a very might makes right attitude, but those characters are seriously pathetic. I have absolutely no respect or empathy for them. And so the message at the end of the show is that you have to connect with others, and this humanity kind of thing going on, and don't cut yourself off. I don't understand that. What's so emotionally gratifying about other people that allowing yourself to constantly feel negative feelings about them is worth, is worth receiving that in turn? I don't quite understand. And I rarely feel those positive feelings for a long time now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like, I get more positive feelings from just being mildly entertained, or from having long essay conversations. Those ones tend to do it for me. Disconnected, podcast-like, essayic, long-winded conversations about ideas and these sorts of things. I prefer that. I mean, I don't know why no one would want to just be Rei, like Rei Ayanami from the show IRL. That seems great to me. I don't understand. Why is Gendo the bad guy? Why is Gendo considered the bad guy in Evangelion? Please enlighten me. I don't understand. I kind of know why he's the bad guy, but at the same time, he's the most sympathetic character. Like, he's the only character that's even close to being right in the entire show. It's bizarre.